have the haves and the have-nots in your district, and we're talking up on the road. You know what I'm talking about. From your opponent, what is the difference, and what can an African-American voter on the South Side in your district, why would they vote for Mark Rauterkus?
What works for me is freedom and liberties. And that works for everybody. And it's worked for America for hundreds of years. Since, the days of Ben Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, we've had this American style of government that says, allow people to be free and they will be able to better themselves. And they'll find what works for them and make it work. So Pittsburgh now, to use my opponent, can't be in a position where we just give away things all the time. And that's happened perhaps in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And that's what my opponent wants to do. He knows that the needs in Belts Hoover are different than the needs of the South Side Slopes, the needs in Oakland. Sure. But we all need freedom. We all need liberties. We all need government to do its job as far as, being protecting, doing police force. But it can't be giving away this to a special interest group, that to another special interest group, building tunnels under the river that aren't going to pan out. There are some really bad boondoggles out there. And, so I would like us to concentrate on, freedom and liberties for everybody. And, and that means you're not going to have police beating down your doors for, on brutality type measures. It's being able to be personally free. And part of that is, a deep philosophical belief that when we have freedom and people are able to better themselves, that they will.
Mark, how many black business do you have on Carson Street in your district?
Geez, very few.
Why is that? Or let me ask you this. Maybe that's not a fair question. Let me ask you this. As council representative for your district, what could you do to, and I asked this question to City Council, so let me take it back. I ask every member of City Council, you're familiar with the study the University of Pittsburgh came out with showing the disparities in the city. I ask every council member at City Hall, what would they be willing to stand up publicly and say to their district to make their district better in closing this disparities gap, this embarrassment to the city of Pittsburgh? You as a councilman and a representative on your South Side district, what would you do to make that gap? I hear people, African Americans on the South Side, constantly complain there's nothing for us to do.
Yeah. Well, in the past, I have walked the picket line, so to speak, when the construction or the new stadiums happened. And there was a black, union of workers, and I was with them. And the pass-throughs that occurred, in past administrations with past projects that were just not right, and we needed to be monitoring that, and we didn't have real good access to government records and government spending, which I think we could see so that we can really understand, where the minority contracts are and where they're not and where they're just a sham. So I've been fighting that fight in my ways, in the past times, 3, 4, 5, up to 10 years ago. So businesses, to your question, perhaps it's how do we fight that? I think we have to fight it, with the kids.
How do you help your black constituents in your district to get involved in what's going on in the big boom on that district? I've gone over there several times, and I love to go shopping. I look for a black business or a black business owner. I think there's one.
Yeah, there are
I believe there's one. And I'm just, when I talk to your people in your district, black people, who say there's nothing for us to do, it's even hard to get a job because it's still that little mom and pop mentality there on Carson Street. You know it. Everybody knows each other. They hire their family or this or that. And there's a segment of the district that is left out from all the booming enterprise going on in the South Side. As a representative, do you see any way, or do you have any plan of making sure that everybody gets involved in that process?
The best way that I see it is not to do giant city projects that take all the money for tunnels under the river, for new stadiums or convention centers that are going to, collapse and wobble, And if we're not spending big sums of money on things. Then we'll be able to focus on the families, the smaller issues, the small kids, and we'll give kids a great education here in the city. They need the resources. We'll give them access to recreational centers, and they'll be able to learn and grow and do as well as everybody else throughout the county. And you know, there's a layer of poverty here that is huge, and it's about a lack of opportunity. I think we have to grow our kids out of that and let them know that they're as strong and powerful as anybody from South Park or North Allegheny or anything else. And we need to compete against those kids, you know, in our school sports and in our extracurricular activities. You know, so I'm of the mind that we empower these kids and give them the best love and care and treatment as we can. You know, we get government out of the way as far as doing massive big ticket spending. And Pittsburgh will start to heal itself, and we'll grow out of this by having you know, freedom and flexibility and liberty, and there are other aspects of when you talk about blight, or we talk about, you know, some of the neighborhood issues that come out. There's abandoned properties, and as a libertarian, we have an approach for that too, and it sort of changes the tone. But I'm a big advocate of the land value tax, and when you tax the land, it is a way to encourage development everywhere, as opposed to the building. And it gets technical, and I don't know if it's really the best thing to talk about it, you know, on a TV show, but, you know, with the internet, we've researched this and we've understand it. But right now, if you have a dilapidated house, and then maybe you even knock it down, or the roof's falling in, the sidewalk's all cracked, you go to the county and say, listen, you know, my house isn't worth this. You know, it's depreciated. It's you know, less. So government then gives that person a tax break, because, yeah, the porch is falling apart. Meanwhile, the other neighbor, he fixes up his house. He gets it painted. He makes sure the things are working. He adds an addition. You go to government, and that person's penalized because we're taxing the building.
You say if we had your problems, we'd react in the same way, that the only way to solve them is to drown them every day. You say if you hit the bottom, you'll be glad to turn around. Well, the bottom is the place you choose to lay
Till 2:30, and by the time we started with pigs and eggs at 7 o'clock in the morning, by 2:30, people's phones were ringing off the hooks with complaints about completely inebriated people stumbling and falling and carrying open containers of alcohol. By 2:30, it was absolute, utter pandemonium on Carson Street. Enforcement is abysmal.
You say the only real solution is a shot in the dark, 'cause your daily evolution is no walk in the park. So you just keep on keeping on while you're above the ground. Well, the bottom is a place you choose to lay the shovel down.
Community service, and that is what I want to do. I really, truly want to serve you. I only have your best interests at heart. I promise to do right by you, and I hope that on May 15th, we'll have your vote. Thank you very much.
Negotiations and contracts are developed between the City of Pittsburgh and the appropriate. I'm opposed to the settlement of $85,000 to Kathy McNeil.
It's your
For the following reasons.
to party while you
can. That the contract
when you're sick and tired, I'm sick and tired, and there's no one left around. The bottom is the place you choose to lay the shovel down. 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 So you're sitting on your porch, making friends with Johnny Black. Remember this old fool's rule: time to quit when he talks back. When your hole is getting deeper, let me tell you what I found. The bottom is the place I chose to lay my shovel down. Lay the 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 shovel down.